Hi folks, and welcome to the 2022 Club Committee Member Professional Development Program. I'm your host Gary Ryan, and this is the 8th session, Feedback, how to receive it, give it, and why you should be collecting it. And of course this is brought to you by organisations that matter on behalf of Monsu Caulfield. So it's a delight to be with you here for this session. Once again, I'm Gary Ryan, the founder and director of Organisations That Matter. Please say hi if you ever see me around campus. I'm also the author of Disruption Leadership Matters, Lessons for Leaders from the Pandemic. I'm very fortunate that it became a #1 Amazon Kindle bestseller early in 2022. You get $5 off the price and an express post upgrade via Australia Post if you choose to purchase the book through disruptionleadershipmatters.com and use the coupon code Monsu. Of course, the book's also available on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, iBooks, and more. So you've got the audio versions as well. Just please note that the coupon doesn't work on those sites because I do not control them. But if you choose to get the book, please have a read and enjoy it. It will reinforce a lot of the content in this 8-part program. In addition to Monsu Caulfield, you see that I have a lot of clients that I provide services to on the screen there, including Monash University, of course. The focus of this session is to give you this welcome and introduction, just to help you to understand how to respond when you are provided with feedback, and help you to understand the 3 types of feedback that you will receive personally and as a club, and help you overall to understand why you should be collecting feedback. And of course, just to give a summary of this 8-part series. So the first thing that I want you to take your mind to is what are some of the different ways you react when someone gives you feedback, especially if you didn't ask for it. Just take a moment to think about what are some of the different ways that you react when someone gives you feedback and you didn't ask for it. Most of us react in a denial type of way, or a shock or embarrassment type of way, which all of them are not particularly useful for us if we are trying to improve ourselves over time. So having a way of addressing feedback when you get given it, even if you didn't ask for it, can be really, really powerful. So you might recall when we spoke about mental models and the concept of mental models in the self-talk part of this program. So if you can't recall that, or you haven't checked that one out, please go and check out the self-talk session to learn about mental models. The mental model I encourage you to adopt is that when someone gives you feedback, this is the most powerful mental model you can use, even if you didn't ask for that feedback. And that is to take the mental model that the feedback is a gift. So whenever you've received a gift in your life, what's the first thing you say after receiving it? So when someone gives you a gift, what's the automatic thing that you say? And what you say is, thank you. This is a powerful mental model that no matter what feedback I get given, I'm going to say thank you. Now, most of you will have probably at some point or other in your life received a gift that wasn't the greatest gift. It wasn't overly fantastic, and maybe it was a gift that wasn't even really particularly useful for you, but you didn't know that before you unwrapped it, so you still said thank you anyway. In this case, we sort of do get it unwrapped because we'll get the feedback, but we just say thank you. But if you continue with this metaphor of a gift, there are 3 categories of feedback as a gift that you can utilize to help you work out, well, now that I've got this feedback, what do I do with it? Recently we had Father's Day here in Australia, and I've got 5 children, and like normal, I got some cologne and some socks, which were for me, about me, and immediately useful. So that's like some feedback. You might get some feedback that's for you, it's about you, and it's immediately useful. Say thankful for you, and you can do something with that feedback. Sometimes you might have a birthday that falls during the exams, and you might be into a certain product, or you're into, let's say, Apple products, for example, and someone gave you a book about Steve Jobs by William Isaacson, and that's a 750-page book. It's a really thick book. Now, it's for you, it's about you, but it's maybe not immediately useful because you've got to focus on exams. So you would tend to put that gift on a shelf and wait till you've finished exams, or you have some time at a holiday, for example, to sit down and dive into that book. So it's still for you, it's still useful for you, but the timing's not right. Sometimes people will give you feedback that you recognize is for you and about you, but for one reason or another, you need some time to make sense of it. Okay, so you need some time to make sense of it, and you need to have that opportunity. So you need to consider it if you like. But again, eventually that's still going to end up being useful for you. The third type of gift is one that's not for you, not about you, nor is it useful. This type of feedback is like that gift that's really no good, right? It's not a great gift at all, and you either re-gift it or you put it into recycling, for example. In this case, often the reason for the feedback fitting into this category is that actually it's about the person who is giving you the feedback, where they're just trying to tell you how you should be more like them. I encourage you to let that feedback go. Okay? So, no matter what the feedback is, say thank you. Determine which of the 3 categories of feedback it fits in, and then respond accordingly. So for categories 1 and 2, seek support as you attempt to modify your behavior, and we'll talk about a tactic for seeking support in a second. And for category 3, just let it go. This is a really important life skill. Sometimes you're going to get feedback that just literally isn't about you, and if you take it on board, that's going to take you down a path that's going to make you worse, not better. So you need to just let it go. Now, of course, if you think all of the feedback you ever receive is category 3, you need to go and have a hard look in the mirror. The brutal reality is most of the feedback you receive is going to be in category 1 and 2. It's the occasional feedback that's in category 3. You need to be aware of it, and you need to let it go, okay? But most of it's going to be 1 or 2 in terms of those categories. Now, what if you are the person giving the feedback? So you're trying to tell someone else in your committee that you work with in your club and give them some feedback. Well, first, using this mental model of the gift, always ask yourself, am I just trying to tell this person how they should be more like me? If the answer is yes to that question, then keep your feedback to yourself. It's not going to help your peer, okay? Keep it to yourself. If your answer is no, this is about them and how they can be the best in their role for themselves and the club, then would you like to know a method you should use that's going to make it more likely the person's going to be able to receive your gift? I'm hearing your answers yes. So, let them give you permission to enter their room of learning. So imagine all of us have a room of learning, and there's only one door into that room of learning. If someone's on the outside of your room of learning, there's 2 ways they can get through that door. The first way is they can barge in, and they can push their way and say, hey, here I am, have I got some feedback for you? Or they can knock, and you can go to the door, and you can open the door yourself, and you can welcome them into your room and let them in. Now, that's what we want people to do with you. If you've got feedback for them, we want to knock on the door, and we want to let them open the door and be in control of their room of learning, because it significantly increases the chances that they won't be defensive and they'll listen to what you've got to say and be more likely to take it on board, providing, of course, you are confident that it is about them and you're not just trying to tell them how they should be more like you. So there's several ways that you can do the metaphor of knocking on someone's room of learning. You can ask something like, would you be interested in having a chat about, insert the behavior or the issue or the topic? Are you open to having a conversation about, insert the behavior, the issue or the topic? Or you recently mentioned that you were trying to improve whatever the behavior is. Are you open to having a chat about what I have observed? Now, of course, if to any of those conversational questions the person says no, then you need to accept it, not be upset, and just say something like, I really do care about you, and I really am interested in helping you improve. I understand your answer. If your answer changes at some point, let me know. You know where I am, and I'm happy to have that chat. But don't get upset about them saying no. They just might not be ready, okay? You will be surprised that most people will say yes. You'll have intrigued their interest by asking one form of those questions as the act, if you like, of knocking on their room of learning. Now then, if they say yes, it's really important to be honest and caring. Now, one of my heroes called Bob Dick, he talks about a lot about feedback, and he works in high-performing teams as I do. And Bob's been one of my mentors over time. He says that one of the challenges is that sometimes when we give people feedback, we like to soften it. We like to fluff it up a little bit. We like to maybe not make it sound as clear as it needs to be. And sometimes we actually get to the place of actually being dishonest. So as part of the clarification process, when you're giving feedback, people might ask you a question. So does this mean A, B, and C? And maybe it does mean A, B, and C. And you say, oh, no. It doesn't mean that at all, when in fact it does. All right. Now, that's where your caring for the other person gets in the way of you being honest and actually makes you dishonest, which means that you don't care about them if you're being dishonest to them. So the important message here is don't let the caring part get in the way of being honest. Absolutely be caring and use the best words. Be considerate with the words you choose to use when you give someone feedback. You know, if after the fact it becomes clear that you could have chosen better examples or better words in the way that you gave your feedback, but the message got across, absolutely apologize and remain true to your feedback. Yes, I'm sorry that I came out that way. I was trying to be as caring as I can, but I felt that I needed to be honest with you. Let's get on and focus with what we can do and how I can help support you improve and move forward. Okay? So remember, you're only being honest because you care about them. It would be easier to ignore the issue and not provide the feedback, or to soften it and make it dishonest. That would be far easier than actually being honest sometimes. I encourage you, be honest and caring, because we don't want the caring part to actually make you dishonest, right? Because that then actually means you're not caring either, right? When we care about our peers and colleagues, we care about them being told the truth, whatever that truth might be. So, what if it's you that's trying to attempt a behaviour? And I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the gift metaphor regarding feedback, then what if it happens to be you and you're conscious that you've got something that you're trying to improve on? You haven't necessarily had anyone tell you, you just know you're trying to work on it. Maybe you're trying to listen more, for example. You're trying to ask better quality questions, as an example. What I encourage you to do is directly and discreetly seek 2 or 3 people to provide you with regular feedback. So you would seek them out individually, but you only need 2 or 3, and you would let them know what the behaviour is that you're trying to change, and that you would like to receive timely, honest and private feedback from them. So if it is working on your listening or your questioning skills, you'd let them know about that. And then after meetings, for example, you'd like them to reach out and let you know how you went. You know, what was a great question you did? What was a really good example of listening that you did? Was there any examples where you talked over the top of people? You want to hear that because you want to get that immediate time and space with your feedback. So no one else has to know that you've done this. Well, what I find is that most people, when asked to give you this form of feedback, will say yes. Absolutely they will. But again, you keep it private between you and them. No one else has to know. Okay? So let's now focus on club feedback and collecting feedback for your club. So think about, what are some of the way that your club obtains feedback? The best organisations, as far as feedback are concerned, are the ones that it's the easiest to give them feedback. So there's multiple channels that people can use. It can be online, it can be in person, it can be feedback forms, it can be all sorts of, it might be a number they can call, all sorts of different things. And I understand you're a club, so you've only got limited resources, but within the resources you've got, how easy do we make it for people to give us feedback? Notice I'm saying feedback and not complaints, okay? Now, the best organisations actually get really nervous when complaints go down. I'll say that again. The best organisations get nervous when they see a pattern in complaints going down. Well, why is that? Well, what they know is that when they are easy to give feedback to, they actually get slightly more positive feedback, believe it or not. 52% versus 48%. slightly more positive feedback when they're easy to complain to. Now, when they're not getting the feedback and they're not getting complaints, they actually know that the complaints are out there. They're just not getting told. Now, if you've got issues with people or members, for example, and you're just not being told, then there's nothing you can do about them. Now, they also know, according to the research, that approximately 1/3 of complaints are actually caused by the customer. In this case, it might be a member or fellow students, for example. It's actually caused by them. Now, when that happens, you can't go around saying, oh, you're silly, you got it wrong, and various other labels, it's your fault, not ours. The issue is that when someone actually has got an issue and it is caused by them, this actually creates an opportunity for you to help them to see that they've caused the issue themselves and have the aha moment about whatever it is that they're trying to complain about. So the problem that you've got is that when you don't make it easy for these people to give you feedback, they're going to blame you, because the opportunity to have the conversation for them to realize that 1/3 of the time it's caused by them isn't going to happen. They're going to blame you 100% of the time. So if you're easy to complain to, easy to give feedback to, then you create that opportunity to engage with these people. In this case, it might often be your members. And equally, you become easier to compliment. See, if we're easier to give feedback to, you know what? There's a lot of feedback that's positive as well. It's not necessarily negative. And as I said, we know when you're easy to give feedback to, 52% of the time, you're going to actually get positive feedback, believe it or not. So the vital skill as a club when you're receiving a complaint is that you recognize that it might be 1/3 of the time caused by them, but we're going to use those conversational skills and we're going to really listen to them, and we're going to listen to understand. So this is where listening to understanding kicks in, because what we need to do is we need them to save face. No culture on this earth likes people losing face, which means making them embarrassed. So we have to use our conversational skills to say, oh, okay, so this is the situation. Okay, did you get the report? And they say, what report? You say, oh, we sent out the report that was on such and such a date. You know, lots of people have their emails go into junk email, so I understand that you might not have got it. Now, we're giving them an out in that scenario. Like the message has gone into their junk email. It's not their fault. We also place something on our website, but we discovered that it's on a page where people haven't been seeing it. So we're trying to fix that. Would you like me to go through what was in that report we sent you? And people will say yes. And so you tell them what's in the report or the issue, and they go, oh, now I understand. So they have this aha moment, and they realize that they contributed to what they were complaining about, but their face remains intact. You know what we know? They become more loyal, right? They become more loyal, in this case, to your club. So using those conversational skills, listening for understanding, giving the person an out wherever we can, is really vital to enabling us to get on the same page, let them have the aha moment, and ultimately get them so that they become more loyal to you and the club. So folks, that's how and why you should be giving and receiving feedback, how to receive it, and why it's important for your club. So we've gone through the 8-part program. The first one was how to leverage your employability skill development while being a club committee member. The second session was how to use creative tension to drive success at all levels of your club's activities. The third one was discover the power of constructive self-talk and how to foster it among your committee members. And that's where we introduced the concept of mental models in that session. Developing your high quality conversation skills and how to use them for the benefit of the club. We've talked about that again in this session regarding feedback and how to deal with feedback. Number 5 was how to establish role clarity. Number 6 in the series was how being a committee member enhances your career prospects. Number 7 was how to use LinkedIn for the benefit of yourself and your club. And I hope you're doing that. Again, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll definitely accept your connection request. And the final one was today's one, feedback, how to receive it, give it, and why you should be collecting it. Once again, here are my contact details. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to observing you and watching you in your professional careers over time. Again, that's where LinkedIn can be a great tool for us to be able to track your journeys and provide some support where appropriate along the way. Once again, I'm Gary Ryan, and thank you for coming along to this series. I hope you've got some great value out of it, and I look forward to working with you next time.